Oh, yeah. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Right here on Black Liberation Media. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Thank y'all for tuning in and rocking out with us as we give you this boom bap breakfast. Yes, it's us, not just me. So I'm not going to hold the D without these three. Let me introduce you to the one they call Renee Johnston and Erica Kane and Burn It Down Kim Brown.
Okay.
Ghostface killer out this bitch.
I was wondering if you was gonna pick the pretty Tony. I'm pretty Tony out here.
Word bond.
I didn't realize it was 8:00. I was just trying to log on to tell Ear Doctor, hey Ear Doctor, I'm probably running about 10 minutes late.
I got you, baby. I got you.
So shout out to the Lion Queens. Come up here to hold it down.
Yeah. You look cozy.
For real.
This is it's my Christmas robe. Mom, you know who got this for me.
Wait, so the question of the day is, does it have the feet pockets?
Feet pockets. Whoa.
Pockets. Yes.
Really?
Like grown up footy pajamas?
Yeah, no, it's actually a robe that opens at the front, but on each side there's a pocket for you to put your feet in, so that when you're laying
out
down,
here looking like a Teletubby.
Does it run true to size or smaller? Because chats, I medium.
I'm 5'11", so I'm like, how does that work?
I know. So listen, I don't own one. But I keep seeing these videos of people sticking their feet in the foot pockets, and I'm like, that looks really like something that I would invest some money in, because my feet be cold.
I'm spoiled. I gotta have a hoodie on my robe now. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Listen, robe life is life, son. Hood belted pockets. If you can't hold your hood, no.
Mm-hmm.
What are those things called? They're like the blankets you can wear. They got the hood.
Oh yeah.
I have that.
The Snuggie?
Snuggie.
I don't know where it is, so I haven't seen that Snuggie in 2 years, 2 winters.
That Snuggie went in that dryer and went into that mystical place where the socks be. The land where the socks be.
The land where the socks.
And I have a blanket that you put on backwards, like it's closed at the front, but there's a pocket so you can hold your phone and listen. The best gift my stepdaughter ever gave me.
All right. I see. Ask new merch for Black Liberation Media, perhaps. Why, yes. There's some things I'm gonna be working on. I'm gonna be working on some things all week, man. I'm ready. Let's go.
We need them RBG Snuggies, man. We need that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Damn, a robe. That would be hard, yo. A remix robe. What? let's not bring up hoodies and shirts around Erica because
I don't have one still. You know, I was expecting a Christmas miracle.
I know the Kwanzaa thing. I just took off. I ain't even front. Yeah. But listen. It's a new year. It's a new you. You know what I'm saying? We got you.
No new hoodie though.
But Erica, if you fill out the form, I will send you one.
Nice. Thank you, Renee, for the save. Thank you for the save. We've been trying to say this for the longest. That's the carry-out.
You see that soft power strong arm.
Ear Doctor ain't direct me to no form. We've been trying to say it.
Is that the word? That's the caveat.
Listen.
All right.
I can't. Oh Lord.
How you say that word?
Just like you said it. Perfect.
Okay. Exactly.
Carry out. That's right.
I was confused. The Marriott, Carriot, one of them.
My brother, it's fine. I love it. I'm gonna come back. Let me go run a toothbrush over my teeth. I'll be back.
Please. It's shining teeth. Boy. Yeah, man. Everything's good. Women's Wednesday, y'all. Big up. What's a tip that your mom told one of y'all that you could tell us to help these young daughters out here? Any words of wisdom y'all could give these young sisters?
Yes, laugh and cry, live in the same house. They're cousins.
Laugh and cry, live in the same house. They are cousins. Okay. I like it. Renee, any wisdom from backyard?
Let me tell you something. My grandfather had more sayings than I don't know what, and when he died, my mother has always said, like, we should have just wrote everything down, because he had a saying for fucking everything. But the one thing my mother always taught me that I hold on to this day is that if you can breathe, everything else will work itself out.
If you can breathe, everything else will work itself out. Breathing is so important. A lot of people really don't know.
They really don't.
I don't get mad, but when I've got mad before, I had to go in the bathroom and just breathe and get my composure back. I would definitely suggest it. Even knowing how to breathe, how to inhale through your nose, exhale out your mouth. This breathing is not taught. So yeah, definitely a mental health thing that can help you. All right, some good words of wisdom there. We got a dope show. Let me see. There was wondering why I chose this as a cover.
No, I actually wasn't. That wasn't a real why. It was like a why. Why?
Well, why? And it says you got me. Pretty much, as the public, you got me fucked up, believing that this was the cool thing to do. And then at the same time, now it's like, okay, you got him. Now what are you gonna do? What's your plan? You got him. Now what you gonna go get the oil? I mean, what is the plan now that you've kidnapped this president? So that was my thoughts of the you got me, and it went with the song. So now we have an understanding. Yes, no.
Yeah, well, laugh and cry, live in the same house.
There it is. There it is.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yes, my math be mathing. I appreciate you, Stone Chowder. It's crazy. All right, so we got a guest coming up a little bit later, also around 9:15. So make sure y'all don't go anywhere, and y'all go ahead and call some more people and let them know, y'all need to be watching, the Remix Morning Show. They be wild, you got to go check out all the jewels they be dropping. So I guess we could go ahead and take a little break. Y'all got some news ready to go? Anything? Because I don't think Miss Brown gave us a run sheet.
Miss Brown's run sheet starts next week, which is what she said yesterday, that she will fill it next week.
Oh, that's right. Sometimes I don't be listening.
Whole thing.
Yeah, I don't listen all the time. I ain't gonna front. All right. It's what it is. All right, let's go ahead and take our first break, and we're gonna hit you on the head with some things here. I got my two Caribbean women on screen right here, straight from Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. Yes, Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Air Doctor. Thank you all for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, and get footage that's rare. And you can donate where, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, blkliberationmedia.org, or drop something, a super chat right here in the chat room all of that we appreciate, because that's what keeps the lights on around here. All right, with that said, let's talk about some different shows. Let me take y'all to a throwback. One show that is very big, and they're working on their next season coming out, is Brokish. They got a chance to talk about capitalism. You know, if you brokish, then you definitely got to talk about capitalism. Let's see what they talk about on this throwback right here on the Remix Morning Show.
We've been having so many of these conversations, especially if I'm looking to this conversation about capitalism, right? Like, people been telling us about capitalism and class traders and everything else since the 1800s, but we still here having these conversations. So I am excited for us to talk about history and what history can hopefully teach us, even though I'm not convinced.
Yeah, well, one of the first lessons is that history teaches us that one of the main problems is that people don't know their class. So America is a really good marketer because you got a lot of people playing the hand that they were not dealt. And so you playing the dealer's hand, you're not playing your own hand. And so you have a lot of people really grossly mistaken about what class they're in. And they thinking because they make good money, they have a house, that they are middle class. But most folks who buy into the myth of middle class are really working class people.
Is that right? Speaking of, I'm wondering what the hosts think about what is the purpose of not having a middle class? Why just have a lower class and a rich hotty toddy class? Let's get back and figure out this whole thing right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Good Lord, you didn't hear that cough, did you? Oh, why can't we hear Erica? Is it just me?
Oh, sorry, I muted my mic.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't understand the question. Are you asking what is the purpose of not having a middle class?
Yeah, I mean, why is this such a big thing right now to alleviate the middle class? As in,
I don't. Yeah, go ahead, finish.
No, it seems like it's like I even look at movies in the future, and it's like the people outside of the wall, and there's people on the inside of the wall. It's no middle wall. You know what I mean? And it seems like it's more and more. It's like you either rich or you poor. Like, what's the purpose of that? Beside, and it seems like the middle class is just like no more, or is it that?
I think for the purpose of the conversation, I think it's important to understand that the concept of a middle class is just that. Class dynamics are not like rich poor, but rather ruling class, working class, right? So the idea of a middle class is to alleviate or become a buffer for the ruling class, right? So people are not concentrating on that concentration of wealth, but rather aspiring towards it. So there is no real middle class. And so the more they talk about like a middle class or talk about, our Main Street economy and those kind of things, it kind of creates this illusion that there is no structure or class structure that exists as ruling of workers, which is a large part of the problem in terms of how we are understanding ourselves in proximity to a working class, or how we are even understanding ourselves as workers, right? Because people are not really, because of that middle class concept, they think that they're still living good or surviving.
So then it sounds like, the working class aspires to be possibly, they know they can't get to the rich hotty toddies, but they can aspire to be in that middle class where they can constantly work and then feel like, okay, well, I'm not going to fight you or want to come take your stuff because one day I'm going to get there. Is that the illusion?
Well, yeah, I think it's important to just note that it is an illusion, whether it's an aspiration or not. To get there, there is no middle class, especially the way that we see how wealth is distributed. It doesn't exist. But for the political purposes, they are speaking to a middle class so that the workers are not really aware of their positionality within the structure, the framework of how U.S. economy is actually functioning. And it's functioning on the back of the working class. So then you have certain professions that are not looked at, or even by people in those professions, as working class professions, like teachers, like professors. There's ways that they kind of create class antagonisms within the working class to sustain that illusion of the middle class, but it just does not exist.
So it's a bunch of thousandaires, six-figure people that's like that.
Yeah, and especially now we see with where we live, where I live in Maryland, right? A lot of this middle class is dependent on this sort of pipeline to government workers, right? So when you have the Doge comes into place, right, and they eliminate all of these jobs, what does that then do to this middle class? These are homeowners, right? We're talking about PG County, etc., that is known for this kind of money. It disrupts all of that, right? Because that illusion is not real. You are a paycheck away. You are, a catastrophe away. There's no real safety net. So the more that a middle class is discussed, the less that people are actually in consideration of what their positionality is as workers. And then there's a misunderstanding of their enemy, per se, right? That the ruling class is the issue.
Yeah. So the illusion to want to get rich pretty much makes you a indentured slave in a way to this country. Like you got to keep working to keep that house, to keep that car. So it's like, let me get rich and let me continue to work. And then you ain't got time to raise your family. You ain't got time to do a lot of stuff for yourself. And you wind up just waking up every day to pay bills.
Yeah. I mean, I think even if that wasn't an aspiration to get rich, we are secularly, like, it's just, we are always working. I mean, the poorest of us are the hardest workers or the most overworked, right? So I think just the setup of labor is what the illusion of middle class kind of dismisses or causes folks to dismiss what is actually happening. What is the actual class structure here? So there is a propagandized sort of aspiration, that white picket fence, Main Street, middle class, family, nuclear family. That is an illusion, but it is also something that keeps the system going.
I'm wondering, does the younger generation have that same illusion that we have? Is it the same or is it different?
They want to be rich, to be honest. And I think there is, even when we talk about celebrity, I think there is not an acknowledgement even to how social media is functioning. Because we're not, a lot of us, I'm about to be 40 this year. I'm not on Twitch, right? I'm not on Twitch. I'm not really I'm not on TikTok. I refuse. But, there is a way that celebrity right now, there is no more, especially the structure of Hollywood, everything is blown up. But anybody can get 15 minutes. Right? And so with that becomes,
let me come up with some content that's going to blow me up.
All of it is content. These children think in terms of content. Earnestly, if you have a conversation with anyone 18 and younger, if you have a conversation with a 7-year-old, they're talking about like and subscribe. Right? So, because so anybody can actually earnestly get it, and so much money is thrown at it. So, there's a political contradiction within that. But these children have a different kind of aspiration because they are disconnected from particular material realities. Like we have children, Tyler singing "Buy Me Chanel." The kids want Chanel.
Yeah.
I mean,
we wanted Fendi and Louis Vuitton and MCM back in the day, right? Did we?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I didn't want Chanel. I wanted Dolce though. I did make a strong argument for these Dolce & Gabbana pants for homecoming, and my parents were like, "Girl."
when I see Eric B and Rakim rocking the whole Fendi outfits and stuff. I was like, damn. Or the MCM joint. I was like, yo, I gotta get me a little something. You know what I mean? And that's not going anywhere. So, and now within music, where they have to actually be marketing, they have to pretty much promote brands and stuff like that because they're not making no money through streaming. They got to get connected with some type of fashion house or something like that to get money, and they like, let me put this all in the music and people gonna buy it and then I'm gonna get my check. I mean, you got rappers out here having Happy Meals and shit at McDonald's,
That's been
Popeyes.
since, what's his name? Chris Lightly? Chris Lightly did that. That's been since the 90s when he brought in Sprite and brought in Hennessy and everything, Pastor Gavarcier.
Yeah.
So that's been a thing, and he brought that into the fold. Nas and these contracts and stuff. I want to always recommend and highlight Salifu Mack has he wrote about Saweetie when she did the McDonald's deal, because even when you just said, I think I mentioned that when we did the Forever stream at the end of the year, that you'll be hard pressed to find a celebrity that's not attached to a brand deal, because a lot of the smoke and mirrors, they're not making money. They're not making money. You have to have, like, that's a very close, especially now. That window is closing because Hollywood has pretty much erupted. People are making films outside of Hollywood, so it's changed the industry. And to make a film outside of Hollywood changes the way unions are affected or not, how people are paid or not, especially in Atlanta.
I see Mary J. Blige just directed a movie. I was like, God damn, everybody out here.
Oh, yeah. With Tisha Campbell, I seen. And I said, got the stars on it. But yeah,
I mean, Mary put out the call. Everybody respect Mary. So that's wild, though. Yeah. All right. I forgot what we was just talking about. Sometimes my mind do that. But yeah, we talk about a lot riches and the whole illusion of being rich and trying to get out here and constantly get money. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I really just and is it this whole thing like I want to make sure my kids are set up later? Like, and then if you ain't got kids, what is it all about? Like, I hear that all the time. It's like I want to work and make sure my kids are set up, and I'm like, I didn't have no luxury of here's your money now that my parents passed in the early age, so I had to hustle, and I always knew how to hustle and make money. And now it seems like all these kids are just being passed down money, and they don't know how to hustle when they lose it all.
Oh no, these kids can't hustle for shit. I'm not even going to hold you, but that's just, I think culturally, it's just a different kind of generation of youth. Because I heard the conversation of them not wanting to drive.
They don't want to drive.
Yeah, it's just a different kind of lifestyle. But I do want Kim's thoughts on because Ear Doctor raised the question about like a middle class or what even is that? But reality TV. There was a conversation on Married to Medicine. Shout out to Dr. Simone. They have money. They have 2 kids that are in college. They took a long time to do college, whatever. The one wants to go to law school. He says to her, I need a new car. I had this car since I graduated high school. It's not a good look for me to still have this car. And I would like for you to pay for law school. Now, she's like, you done lost your damn mind. You're a grown-ass man at this point. What are you putting in? But the father is like, listen, we worked hard so that he don't got to stand in the registrar line. He don't got to fill out FAFSA. He don't have to get, But so that's been a conversation in terms of what even does that mean to work so much that our kids don't have to struggle? Because I don't even really understand what we're trying to implement or teach to our children. And then on the flip side, the argument is, why do we as Black people, and I think people think it's just us as a community that does this, but why do we have to make why do our children have to learn hard lessons in order to be successful? And so I think it's I think it's a general question, not so much to them, but I do think it is a mindset that people have, even to what you just raised.
Yeah, because I use nepotism to get my son a job, daughter a job, everything. That's the one thing I really do.
Yeah, I don't know if it's nepotism. I mean, you had a connection. I don't know if
right,
that's the same
and that's
as
yeah.
I just wanted to use that word. Go ahead, Kim.
You want to be in with LeBron? You want to be in with the crew?
So, my mom was raised in a middle class. Let's say my grandfather worked at the steel mill. My grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, and she raised 4 children. My mom's youngest brother doesn't know how to do things like cut the grass, right? And the reasoning that my grandparents gave was like, well, we don't want him to have, he don't have to learn how to do like stuff about keeping up the house, keeping up the property. He never learned how to do those things because my grandparents were like, oh, well, he don't have to learn. But now he's a big adult and he don't know these things. And I don't think that we do our kids, especially Black children, we don't do them any favors by not allowing them to struggle through some things, because with struggle comes skill building, right? There's a lot of things that come out of having to think your way through a difficult situation that if the stuff is just given to you, you never develop those skills. You don't develop that resiliency. And I know it's deeply unfair that Black children do have to learn hard lessons, but regardless of what kind of lifestyle you're able to provide for them, those lessons are still going to come simply because they are Black. They may look different, but you can't income your way out of racism, right? Like no matter how much money, the richest Negroes experience racism and have to figure out, how to work their way around that. So I think you're not doing your kids no favors by not making them learn skills or having them deal with adversity, even as something as simple as having to find a ride to work. You know what I mean? How you gonna get to work?
Like they don't know about a bus. Let me go and find out what a bus route is. And this
real quick though, like I think sometimes we do this thing like they have to struggle. Like learning to wash your own clothes and wash dishes and cut the grass and take out the garbage. Like these are not struggles. Like this is like get through your fucking week and do the shit that you need to do so that you don't live in squalor, right? So like at 15, my child washes his own clothes. He will wash the dishes. He will cut the grass. He will shovel the snow, like all those things. And to me, this is not like, oh, he lives in struggle. This is when you're an adult, you have to be able to do this shit for yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee that someone else is going to be able to do it for you. Like,
100%.
But the other side of this too, and Ricky, is something you said that made me think of it. I think some of the reels when I'm on my doom scroll, because it's like, listen, Instagram will suck you in and you'll look up and 2 hours of me go by. But one of my favorite type of reel is the one where they show the people outside of the reel being made, right? So like somebody who catches a person at a table on Instagram and sees what they're doing before they press like record or go live and after, because so much of this shit that's on the internet is all fugazi. Like it's all fake. It's all fake. It's people like misting their face and then taking pictures on, at the park that they're working out and then like running back to their car. Like it's all bullshit.
And you don't even know what AI is. What's real? What's AI nowadays? You really can't tell. It's hard. You got to look and be like, okay, that's AI.
But when did the ethos of fake it till you make it? When did that become like a standard? Because I mean, I heard that a lot as a young adult. We just got fake it till you make it.
2000s, the advent of the socialite turned celebrity. That's really it, and that really constitute this whole microwave celebrity thing. Like, there's no D-list anymore. Like, anybody could be, because 15 minutes is open to anybody who goes viral, earnestly. So there is it's no holds barred, and I think that kind of instructs the kids to, they don't really have any goals per se. And Renee, when you were talking about, that's that struggle, I was just in my mind like, ask my child. You'd have been posted to free your kid.
But you know what's wild? When I even talk to my daughter and my son, it's also like, yo, these are your jobs as you're part of the house. To maintain this house that you're gonna have one day, you have to do these things to maintain it. And the fact that you're not paying any bills, this is your bill paying right now. So this is what you have to do for us all to make sure that we are in a happy space. Because if this person's like, oh, I can't clean, I can't get through this, then it affects everybody. So it's the whole, we got to do this together in a community family type thing that you got to push the narrative of this is our business. So we got to make sure everybody plays their part. That's how I always move.
And
shit.
look, let's not, I don't want to pretend like my child does any of that shit, like whistling and smiling. Like, it is not, none of it is his favorite shit to do.
Yeah.
But he does.
Hard size.
Right.
Mhm.
Y'all are raising quality husbands out here, and their future wives. Thank you for not putting out men into the world.
She gonna blame me for a lot of shit. I already see it.
Hey, before I get out of here and make my smooth transition, do they got oil in Greenland too? Like, what's even going on in Greenland where your boy is going from Venezuela to Greenland? Could y'all explain that? I'm gonna get out of here while y'all do.
Okay. Wow, you wanted to explain that to you,
and then leave.
Well, I guess I could hit the vat. I know people been waiting to hear that all year. Slap the mat, so I'll do that.
Peace and good morning, Black people and non-Black people. Welcome to the Wednesday of the Mujeres. How do you say it in Espanol? Miércoles de las Mujeres. That's us. Women's Wednesdays. It's Black Liberation Media. You guys are so fortunate and so lucky. God bless the chat, because you all are blessed with not one, not two, but 3 lions. And I know y'all get sick of me always bigging up Leos. No, y'all Leos, y'all don't get sick of me doing that. So shout out to, we got Renee Johnston, we got Erica Keynes, I'm Kim Brown, Ear Doctor in the cut, remixers in the chat. Smash some buttons, y'all. We appreciate everybody reigniting their YouTube channel memberships. Shout out to all of our wonderful patrons. Patreon.com/Black Liberation Media. And if you just found us this morning, hang out, get in the chat, get involved. Hit like and subscribe. So Ear Doctor, I guess, has directed us to lead off with Greenland.
I suppose. But
the biggest island, is it? Well, after Australia, isn't Greenland the second biggest island? Who knows? I don't know. Let me stop.
Yeah,
lying.
I was going to say, is it? I'm not sure. But well, one, I think I have strongly advised that we be informed on the topics we be asked to speak about. But
I just know about it. So when Ear Doctor asks, why is Trump so interested in Greenland? Ear Doctor, Greenland used to be covered by glaciers. Majority of the land mass was covered by glaciers. So what they suspect, as the earth warms and climate change happens and these glaciers retreat and the permafrost starts to melt, that there are rare earths under the permafrost that are probably worth many, many billions of dollars. And Trump and the United States are a weapons manufacturing organization. So all these different minerals and things, they go into weapons, they go into tech, and it's a money grab, basically.
Yeah. I think that the thing that's interesting for me about the Greenland situation, I haven't really had a chance to really look into the minutia of it all. I just have like surface level sort of understanding of what's occurring. But one, Greenland is colonized by Denmark. So it is not an independent nation. as it's being projected, because I think there is conversation that, Trump wants to colonize Greenland, but Greenland's colonized. And also the U.S. military has had bases on Greenland for quite some time as well. But I think the conversation, even what Ear Doctor led off with about does Greenland have oil, to the point of Venezuela and to the point of even Nigeria, I think it's important that we understand that it is not just oil. So even as you talked about the rare earths in Greenland, Venezuela was not only in the region having, the largest oil or largest amount of oil reserves, it also has a lot of rare minerals and a lot of rare earth. And so when we think about the advance of tech currently, and when we remember the inauguration and who was on that stage, and these are the people who are in the ear of Trump. And again, the advance of tech currently, especially with this Cold War or this new Cold War brewing with China as a direct competitor, and how there's a shortage of RAM, and there's a shortage of these things that are necessary to keep these businesses going. I think it's important that we kind of, broaden the scope beyond oil, and then look at it as a complete capture of the Western Hemisphere as an event or in opposition to China. Because that's what I see occurring. The other thing is, I think this also highlights to something that we've been noting in the Black Alliance for Peace at the start of the Ukrainian proxy war, that the EU is pretty much colonies of the US, right? Especially under this umbrella of NATO. They have no real sovereignty. They are being directed by the US. We see that with the proxy war and their engagement of it, and how far they have gone with it. We see that with the lack of pushback as it pertains to Gaza, as it pertains to Venezuela, etc. So they are being led by the nose by the US, and I think that this highlights it especially. This, especially on the back when I named the Ukrainian proxy war, when they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. And there was nothing, they could just blow up a pipeline and disconnect Europe from gas. So I think that it points to something a bit larger to me than oil. And while that is significant, I also think that there's a way that it's playing cover for a lot of other things that are happening in the undergirds.
Do we know anything, and this is something that's been on my list to look at with Greenland, about the indigenous populations there and what, if anything, is happening? Because I also wonder if a part of some of these efforts is not kind of a foreseeing of a future in which oppressed people are actually not just sitting back and allowing themselves to be oppressed. So I wonder sometimes when things start to get kicked off, is it because there is a hint that the indigenous people of that specific place are starting to pay attention and to fight back? And so the powers that be start to coalesce in a way to make sure that whatever can kick off in that place never has the opportunity to do so. This is purely tin hat, by the way, but I wonder about this all the time when I look at things happening.
Yeah, and I think it calls for more investigation into what's actually happening, because I know, for one, it's not like they are thrilled with being colonized by Denmark to begin with. So I would assume that there is some political pushback, but again, I'm not that privy to the inner workings of what's happening. I've just been looking at it on a broader scope, because even considering Nigeria, if we are listening to Richard Medhurst, which we should, and even to the point of the Nord Stream pipeline, and if anyone read Seymour Hersh's piece, investigative report on that, and I recommend reading it. There are maps I guess the first year or so, every time Netanyahu went to the UN, he was holding up maps There is a plan to run a pipeline through Algeria into Nigeria. So blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline to disconnect them from Russia makes them, one, more dependent on this, right? So the Christian genocide thing becomes a hoax for a lot of military activity with this pipeline in the background, or this attempt to create this pipeline that streams right through Algeria into MENA, into Gaza. So though that's happening, right? So when you see, I think we are looking at all of these things in isolated forms, especially under the US, where they have one particular goal and one particular objective. Well, obviously to expand US hegemony, but also to maintain by force.
All of these situations kicking off simultaneously, I mean, you would think it would be coordinated, though I don't want to give this administration that much credit because they just seem to be flailing and it looks very haphazard. But I imagine the evil genius of Stephen Miller and I guess Marco Rubio. Yeah. But I mean, it just seems unsustainable. And maybe that's a naive position considering that, you know, the US occupied and fought in Iraq and Afghanistan for 20 plus years and shit did not improve here on stateside very much. So, I mean, to the detriment, obviously, of the homeland, everything else here is going to suffer as it continues to suffer. But how you fighting wars in Nigeria, Venezuela, Greenland, and potentially China as well?
Yeah, well, they're not. Right? They're not actually, they're just bombing these places.
Just bombing them, right?
It up for, because it starts with the attempts to destabilize first. And then the bombs drop. And then whatever happens. Is how they're kind of leaving it with Nigeria, where we see that he's on board with it. Bola is on board with it. But there is no stabilization. And I don't know that they care about stabilization. I think destabilization is the intent, because they can rule better with, they can grab better with destabilization. So I don't know that there's an intention to sustain all of this. I think there is an intent to destabilize what some of the building that has been going on in the last couple of years geopolitically amongst the global South. So to shake up some of these things that have been happening, because if you listen to the rhetoric of Trump, and then if you listen to the Department of War, if you hear the things that Marco Rubio is saying, much of it is like, who the fuck y'all thought we was? How dare y'all really, like, y'all let Iran come in here, y'all doing all the, y'all shaking hands together, too much friendship. Like, that's it. Like, that's really what they're saying. Like, busting that all up. But to the point of destabilization, I don't know. I also push back often about, I think to call Trump smart or dumb is subjective at this point. I think it doesn't matter. I think there's a foreign policy at play, which is the real issue. And it's been a continued foreign policy. It has a track, right? He didn't just decide or pick these places. These places have already been in purview. The Nord Stream pipeline blew up under Biden.
Yes.
These places have been in purview. Last year's elections and the attempt in Venezuela to defraud the elections was not under Trump last summer. But the rhetoric has continued, and you see now we're still fighting illegitimate claims, even amongst the left, where they go, I mean, he shouldn't have done that, but also,
Help me out here, Ricky, because when they come in the news all the time and Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, I'm like, what dictator where? Like, what has he done dictatorially that is so different than any American president? Because we're currently living under a dictator right now. So I'm like, and I hear it from the left as well. We don't like when Maduro's a bad guy, but it's like, okay, but his bad guyness is based on what? They keep saying, oh, he mismanaged the economy. What, under sanctions? I'm confused. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. I think it's very interesting. When we talk about the left, I think I always say, what even is that? especially here. I think there's an effort to rebuild the left, but there's
Let's
some
say non-right wing. Let's say that.
yeah,
Maybe
well,
not
this
left.
shit.
Non-right wing.
And even that's questionable, right? Because there's certain tenets of
Right,
anti-communism that's running through
Mhm.
that does project that Maduro's a dictator, Maduro's a bad person thing. But I think there's massive confusion by people who have not really, they couldn't tell you who members of the government are. They couldn't even tell you who his wife is, right? And the
Mhm.
importance of who she is. Like, she's not just Maduro's wife. She has been Chavez's lawyer for years. She's been in the National Assembly. She is one of the leading female politicians in Venezuela. Like, they didn't snatch her by happenstance. So, and they didn't abuse her by happenstance either.
Hmm.
So, but people couldn't tell you who she is or who any of them are, who Delcy is, who's now the sitting and acting president of Venezuela. They couldn't tell you about the communes and the progress of that, but they can tell you or reiterate things that they've seen in passing that also happen to be New York Times headlines or also happen to be, you know, the shit Jasmine Crockett is saying currently. So people they're with all of these areas, right? Russia, China. There's ways that the left projects certain things without ever having to research or know. And there's a bit of U.S. chauvinism with that because they don't, you know, nobody here, left or otherwise, feel like they have to know. It's not that important, you know, because this is about workers. And so when they do that, when they do make that play, that this is, you know, this is a worker. We don't stand with Maduro. We stand with the workers. But the fucking workers stand with Maduro, you know? So what are you even saying? So yeah, it's bullshit. It's not covert in any instances, and it plays cover for U.S. imperialism. No, no less than we see the Democratic Party. I mean, what is the difference between what is being said by aspects of the left and a Hakeem Jeffries, where you just don't recognize Maduro, you don't respect Maduro, but you disagree? Okay, thank you. Was it, you know? So yeah.
And there's also a part of this that's about this the exceptionalism, right? Like the only way to do things is the way the US does things. So if you live in a place where the economic structure is different, where the way government runs people is different, where it's just different from what you live in, suddenly like, oh well, he's a dictator and he's doing all these things. But you can't even explain what it is that he's doing that makes him a dictator, right? Like, is it the fact that less people are poor? Is it that more people can read? Is it that healthcare has improved? Like, is that what makes him a dictator? Because the means that he did that with is different, right? Like, people carry on all the time about China. And listen, I'm no expert in China, but I do know that homelessness almost doesn't exist there, right? And we live in a place where we have millions of empty homes and hundreds of thousands of people who live in tents or on the street. So, you know, for me, there's a lot of finger pointing that happens that's all based on media and, you know, this mainstream narrative, because the goal of the mainstream narrative is for people to think that there is some reason that's valid that they blew up a city and stole a man out his bed.
Multiple cities,
Right? Multiple cities, exactly. And so, you know, so the goal when people are saying these things is to distract from the fact that this should not happen. Like, this is not normal, in the sense of one country deciding that they are going to be the group that goes somewhere else, steals its leadership, and then starts taking the resources when it thinks that everything is so chaotic that no one's going to be able to stop them. Because in the end, it's a grab, right? I'm still trying to track down this story about the silver and gold reserves that they're saying have also been stolen from Venezuela, right? So, look, it's a lot. It's a lot happening, and it's all, in my opinion, like this finger pointing based on U.S. exceptionalism. Like we do it right here, and everybody should be doing everything the way we do it here. And I'm like, can you please look around, because I don't know what we're doing right here that everybody else is supposed to be following.
It's the democracy, Renee. Don't you feel free? aren't you out here living freely? Aren't you getting to talk your shit on the internet? Come on now. What else you want? Well, hold on real quick. Did you guys hear this? That it was announced that there has been a list of demands submitted to new Venezuelan President Rodriguez, coming from, the State Department, telling them basically that Venezuelan can only sell its oil to the United States, or can only sell it under approved circumstances. Like his whole list of very unreasonable, and I can't even, they're not asks. They are demands. Do you guys have it? I saw the story this morning.
I'm looking. I'm gonna look for it now. But go ahead, Erica, and respond.
Because I was gonna say, even to the point of like what is not normal, I think that this has been normal. The U.S. aggression or the campaign against Venezuelan state is decades long. So this is not like, even what we're seeing. When we look at that indictment, and please, you all read that damn indictment, because I see that they've already dropped the Cartel de la Sol, because that's not a thing, doesn't exist. So even the courts, for whatever that's worth, acknowledge that. But the indictment dates back to 1999, which is Chavez era, right? Which his wife was a lawyer. So they're trying to indict the entire Bolivarian revolution, not just whatever they're claiming Maduro has done, but they're saying that this has been baton passing, and he has been doing this since. This has been going on since 1999. So it just exemplifies this particular kind of tactic. So whether it was maneuvers that were done under Obama, or the sanctions that were sustained under Biden, or where we're at now with Trump, this has been a continuation. Even with the diplomatic siege, like the refusal, like the 2002 coup of Chavez, the refusal to recognize Maduro in 2019 and recognizing Juan Guaido, the arguments now that he's not the legitimate president, these are diplomatic siege. Like all of this has precedent. Kidnapping Maduro, they kidnapped Alex Saab. All of this has precedent. So all of this shit has been normalized to the point where we're again arguing for the 1,000,000th time on the 1,000th situation where the U.S. has attacked a nation or is destabilizing a nation. We're arguing lived experience again and again and again. Listen to Venezuelans. Why? For what? Why don't you listen to what your president is saying? Because he's saying a lot. And they're very open. The press conference, Marco Rubio and all of them have been very open about what they're doing, what they intend to do, what they're not going to do. And this indictment, if you look at it, this indictment takes a hit at Iran. I think you mentioned the weapons and guns. They're naming Iran and Lebanon and Mexico as the people who they're trading guns with. They're naming FARC of Colombia as being in cahoots. That Maduro put drugs on a FARC plane, and sent it to Nicaragua. That's in the indictment. So you see, they're setting up all of these countries that are adversaries to the U.S. that are in this indictment that also indicts the entire Bolivarian revolution. So whether or not Maduro is good or bad, who the hell cares what you think? It's not about what you think about Maduro. It's about the destabilization of not just a region, but the entirety of the sovereignty of the global South. And these things they're naming.
I did find an article from Politico, and I always have to remind myself when I'm on with Ricky to like think about my words, because I say things like normal because it's not normal. It's normalized here, but it's not normal. It shouldn't be normal. And this why look, y'all this be a setup sometimes when you see a doctor call me like, can you come cover Wednesday?
Yeah, no, I don't even want to make it like it's a play on semantics either, though, because I do see us in a form of if we acknowledge certain things as we're being propagandized, then what is our role in terms of counter propaganda? What are we normalizing? So, like, even to the point of the we, when we say like, oh, we blew up the Venezuela or we kidnapped, like, I'm adamant that there ain't no we, primarily because I see that as a political thing. Because I understand our positionality. Even when we talked about earlier, like there's a class dynamic at play. We don't run shit, even with our taxes, right? Our taxes go to building jails. We're not complicit in that. So I think that when we have a political understanding of that, and as in our role here, as you know, we're broadcast however many people, that we're clear that on our words in terms of like, no, that's the U.S. No, that's the government. No, that's not us, because the collective we are a part of is the Global South workers. We're not a part of that. So that's always my pushback, and not like, oh, like a play on semantics, but just like a political clarity that there's us and then there's these niggas over here, and we are not them.
And that's all fair. It's all fair. All right, so this is Politico from 2 days ago. The title is Trump has illicit demands for Venezuela's new leader. And it doesn't give like a, I don't know if there was some kind of letter or list or whatever, but it does highlight these three things. So it says U.S. officials have told Delcy Rodriguez that they want to see at least three moves from her. One, cracking down on drug flows, kicking out Iranian, Cuban, and other operatives of countries and networks hostile to Washington, and stopping the sale of oil to U.S. adversaries, according to a U.S. official familiar with the situation and familiar with the administration's internal decisions. It further says U.S. officials also expect Rodriguez, the former vice president now running Venezuela, to eventually facilitate free elections and step aside, the two people said. But the deadlines for the demands are fluid, and U.S. officials stress that there is no elections imminent.
The audacity of telling people who they can have in their house.
Right.
Renee, you better not let Ricky in your house 500 miles away from me. Or else. I mean, the I can't even call it cowboy. I mean, this is.
It is. It is. I think it is. Even in the rhetoric.
I just don't see how they think this is gonna go. You know, I mean, I don't see how any of these demands can be imposed upon. I mean, I know they're just going to drop bombs from the sky. I would hate to see Venezuela turn into Gaza. And unfortunately, if the people are going to resist, they absolutely should resist. But this U.S. military is not likely to deploy thousands of troops on the ground in Venezuela. They're going to do exactly what Israel has been doing over Palestine, and that's just bomb them into submission. And I don't want to be around in a world in which that is allowed to happen yet again to yet another set of oppressed people.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to keep paying attention to. But one, there's still the naval blockade, right? So oil can't get in and out either way. And I think that China does 80% of the trade in terms of oil. So again, much of this is still adversity with China in this new Cold War play. But it remains to be seen. I think that there were things that they thought were going to happen in these initial days that have not happened. You know, because Venezuela is still moving right along. Delcy is now the sitting president. You know, people are still on the streets every day. They're, you know, repositioning their governance. And she's also made statements that they are still willing to cooperate on their terms, and calling for, the return of President Maduro, who she still acknowledges is the rightful president upon his return. So there's things that I think they think, because they are invoking this sort of gangsterism foreign policy, that people are going to fold. But that hasn't happened yet. But it still remains to be seen what has happened, because, like I said, he has been very open in terms of they are prepared to do another action, more bombings, etc. So it's something to watch. But I do think that the people of Venezuela are very adamant that they're going to defend Venezuela. And I think the more interesting thing is that we see a sort of class collaboration occurring in Venezuela, because even the members of what could be deemed as the opposition are like, all right, okay, the fuck enough. It's too much. Mm-hmm. So they're also on the streets in defense of Venezuela. So there is some interesting plays happening on the ground that is sort of deterring, because they don't have anybody. Trump saying, "Oh, we're going to come in and run." How? With what? And so even with this Don Rowe doctrine that they're trying to project, like when you said the cowboy, I said, listen, I still make the argument that he has never been talking about a Jim Crow era. He has been talking about a Reconstruction era, from Social Security to the Supreme Court to even his take on this hemisphere. All reads like the initial Americas crusade. Yeah. And so it's a taking back that's the Americas in terms of what he wants to make great again, rhetorically, and then we see that playing out militarily in some aspects in this hemisphere. So I do think it's something to watch. In terms of what's going to happen with Maduro, I don't disagree with Kamal's assessment that they're probably going to move forward with the trial, because they've done that with Alex Saab. But Alex Saab is also home. It just took 2 years of trials, but he's free. So it remains to be seen. But it's to your point, none of this is sustainable, and all of this can change instantly because things happen.
Yeah, and I also like to remind people to be very cautious whenever the headline is Trump says, because he says a lot of stuff that he turns around and the story be completely different, and no one pays attention when the next thing that's said is the complete opposite of the first thing that's said. So also just, because now we're talking about, they've already agreed to oil barrels and they're gonna take those, but it's all statements. There's no there's nothing to actually clarify, because he's nothing like the ear doctor who says what he means and means.
Look at that! Look at me with the transition.
Always informed.
Always. Speaking of being informed, I mean, I'm seeing Trump is out here like Pac-Man trying to get up all the oil. I just seen Russia sending Navy to guard an oil tanker being pursued by U.S. forces. I mean, Russia's like, yo, y'all wilding. Russia's like, yo, y'all wilding. We got to go guard this oil. It's like a real oil grab out here right now. This man is trying to get resources everywhere.
It's giving Balkans of the 19 teens. This has very big World War I kind of energy to me with all this,
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Europe still has no backbone.
Europe. Did you see they released all of them, not all of them, but I think UK, France, Germany, Denmark released a statement. Please stop threatening us. please stop saying you're gonna come capture one of the territories here in Europe. Pretty please.
Man, it is wild out here. Get your go get your
go get your what? Gas mask? What? Go get
your Costco's.
I'm gonna say go get your Costco's.
Costco pack.
Yeah, go get your Costco pack. It's wild out here, y'all. All right, we got a guest coming up in a couple. Big up to make sure y'all tune back in here tomorrow. We are going to be doing the classical breakdown. neo soul and R&B, and we're gonna play some bangers. So you might want to catch it live. If you don't, it's gonna be on Patreon because sometimes stuff like that gets taken down.
Snatched.
And yeah, so if you're a Patreon member, you might. If you're not, you might want to go ahead and be one so you can catch that episode. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we would come back. We got about close to 300 people watching live, so let's keep it going, share, care, and do all that while we going right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Time for a little remix on the remix, y'all. Y'all know how I like to do.
What's the rhyme? What's the rhymes? In effect. Shaheed is in effect. Fife did on is in effect. Check it out and give me my spec. I'm moving, yes, I'm moving, cause my mouth is on the motor. Use the coast in the morning to avoid the funky odor. Can't help being funky, I'm the funky abstract brother. Funky in the sense, but I play the undercover. Once had a fetish for some booty. Now I'm getting funky in my rapping, that's my duty. Brothers tend to rock on the style in particular. If you got the ego like some brothers, then I'll get each other. If I don't pursue, then I just don't give a. My motto in the 90s is be happy making ducks. Girls love the gym because it causes crazy friction. When it goes up thin, it fluctuates the addiction. Still understand the oops, cause that's what I'm at for. I'm hooked on the swing, so just call me the music for. Women love the voice, brothers dig the lyrics. Quest the people's choice, we driving for the spirit.
All right. Let me take you to a time and place, man. We talk about the Low End Theory album by A Tribe Called Quest. Yes, the name of that song right there is Verses from the Abstract. Now, this came out in 91, 92. It banged y'all on the head. Actually, September 1991. It was a great time when this came out. We talking about bangers. Mixed with a nice little instrumental I found for y'all to rock to. All right, hit that like button, subscribe. Go to the channel, become a Patreon member, and donate right there in the chat room. I haven't seen one all day. Let's make sure that thing works over there. Show your love. All right, let's get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. We're supposed to echo. Like, show. There we go. Yes.
Word them up.
Word them up to the ultimate. Big up to Tribe Called Quest. Big up to Fife, Jerobi, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, and Q-Tip.
Got me doing calisthenics.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, that is what it is. We got guests coming up soon. Not here yet, so I don't know where y'all want to go next, ladies. If y'all need my direction or not, I can help y'all.
Sure. I love your direction. Got it. Yes. Right into the door.
That's it. That's all I got is the thing of Russia, the Greenland thing, and the raid killed about 75 people in Venezuela.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's about it.
What about our conversation that you and I had the other day?
Oh boy. Nah, we good.
All right.
I ain't gonna start with you today. I ain't going back and forth.
It's not starting. It's getting a broader perspective because we have some very wise women with us.
All right.
To offer some insight. So Ear Doctor and I were talking about the Chappelle stand-up, the latest one. I was very late watching it. And I had to confess to Air Doctor. I said, I laughed. The shit was funny. But the parts that I didn't like, as you all can imagine, is that Dave, in all of his comedic brilliance, won't hesitate to default down to ableism. And you guys know that I get real grumpy when niggas start talking shit about Stevie Wonder. I don't like it at all. And Air Doctor was like, well, you don't know what Stevie is. He said, you don't even know Stevie Mind. I'm like, I don't know if Stevie Mind. But as a very visibly disabled person, I think Stevie Wonder is probably maybe the most famous visibly disabled person, maybe of our time for sure. And I just don't like the jabs at Stevie based on his disability alone. Like that shit gets on my nerves. And I'm like, I wish niggas would just grow up. Like, you don't have to clown the disabled person just because they're there, existing.
My thing is, if you can joke, you should be able to take a joke. So if you joke on other people, you should be able to take a joke no matter what you are.
Was Stevie joking other people though? I've never heard Stevie get off a joke.
Oh, no,
he probably.
No, he's
I'm about
funny.
to say.
No, I'm talking about just on somebody. Like Stevie ain't gonna off rip clown Dave Chappelle with a bunch of black jokes.
Not public. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe there's a difference because my godbrother's ex-wife was one of his personal chefs. So he do be cracking jokes and shit. But I think there's a difference, like in personal, like, and then a public thing, because nobody knows Steve. Like, it's not like Stevie gets on the mic and be like, "Let me tell you about that nigga Dave," right?
Yeah, that's not his job.
It's a different kind of thing. Whereas, to Kim's point, everybody jokes, even if they don't even have that relationship, because we don't know what the relationship they have. Stevie might not mind it. It might not be a big deal. He's probably like, whatever, after 30, 40 plus years of let's just joke on Stevie Wonder, he's probably doesn't matter. But we don't know these dynamics. And so to Kim's point, it just reads as let's just take shots at disabled people because we don't know that, but then to Ear Doctor's point, I guess it's a level of immaturity too. Like, yeah, if we was kids, take a joke, give a joke. But adult, I don't know. It's a hard one because my own child is visually impaired. So, I don't know if that's a laughing matter per se, but
that's what it comes down to me, because regardless of what the disability is, if it's a visible disability, if it's invisible disability, I just need to know what's funny about it. Like, I don't know what's funny about joking somebody, for example, who is visually impaired. But I realize now, actually, there was a verse in the Bible that I didn't anyway, but it's something about those that would laugh at a blind man who would place a stumbling block in front of a blind man and laugh. I'm like, God damn, humans have been trash on disabled people forever. And that's always been my hope. Like, hopefully we have evolved to a point where that's not what we do. You know what I mean? And like I was telling you, Ear Doctor, your children, if there was a disabled person or someone with a stutter that was their classmate, your kids are not the kind of kids that would run jokes simply because the person had a stutter, for example. And that used to be part and parcel of growing up for us, right? Like, people would just get picked on for anything. But disabled people have been targeted and oppressed even within oppressed groups, right? So I would just like for that to end one day. Like, I just want to. I mean,
it's kind of, if I know you and you cool, and I see you saying that you're blind, but you playing the drums, catching the stick while it's in the air, and then I'm like, bro, you're not blind. Stop fronting, and that's funny. No. It's like, yo, bro, stop fronting. You not blind. You playing this long game, and it's like, come on, son. And it's a joke. Even if he's blind, it's like, yo, come on, you're too good to be doing this and then saying you're blind. That's funny.
Well, then that also superimposes that people with disabilities can't do nothing. But I think so. Here's where when we did the live, right, and you actively walked Kim into a door.
Oh,
we all laughed.
Yeah, bring up old shit now. Right? Listen, we got a guest here.
Right. But we didn't laugh because Kim can't see. We laugh because you're dumb. Like, you're supposed to be helping her. You see what I'm saying? But we, so it was like I love this nigga.
I got you.
So it's like, I think there's a time and a place. I'm training. There's also, like, my house. There's no boundaries on jokes, in a sense. Anybody can get it in my family. So we kind of grew up on that, but it also is like it happens in the family. Like we're not going out like, look at this nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a thing we do to each other. So I don't know if that's like makes it better, but I know it has toughened us up a bit, like in the sense that like nobody, whatever anybody else says, I've already heard it from my cousin. Like, you know, we've already went did the dozens. So
Well,
yeah,
we
I don't
do.
know. I don't know how we
Real quick. I mean,
Okay.
I know Stevie is a celebrity. People are, you know, celebrities are allegedly fair game, etc. My thing is when I see people run blatantly ableist jokes on Stevie Wonder, and I told Ear Doctor, by the way, to contrast, in the Eddie Murphy documentary, they showed Eddie when he would play Stevie on Saturday Night Live, and how Eddie said some people took issue. They thought he was making fun of Stevie. I didn't see it that way, actually. I thought it was mimicry, not mockery. And I thought Eddie did a very good job of emulating Stevie Wonder. But like, but when people run ableist jokes at Stevie, they think it's okay to run ableist jokes on anybody. You know what I'm saying? And that is where I take issue, because again, Stevie's really unproblematic. For someone to have been as famous as he has for as long as he has, I hear very few negative things about Stevie as a person, about his character, etc. The only thing they have to say about him is that he's blind, and that's such weak sauce to me.
Hey. All right,
and it's not funny.
Okay. And that is our perspective today for the Remix Morning Show. We have a guest here, so let's go ahead and bring the guest in. We got about almost 300 people watching. Hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get to it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Damn it, why didn't it work?
Hit the button.
Okay. It's a buffer going on.
Oh, there is some buffering going on because we got separated
right now. Let's try one more time.
Peace. Welcome.
What is all right? So we're gonna remove you and we're gonna bring you, and there we go. Good morning.
Peace.
Good morning. But look, before we get started, since I got the mic, I got to make a comment on that previous conversation. Very, very interesting. And I would argue that this making jokes on differently able people, to me, is a phenomenon that I think is a recent one among our folks. And I'm not going to make an argument that sounds like, you know, my generation was like super superior and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, we just didn't do that. It wasn't funny. And we didn't, and we were kind of trained not to do that. And we had folks who were, in fact, disabled in different kinds of ways. But they were not subjected to the kinds of joking, if you will, that I saw in subsequent generations. And like that example of when Eddie did the piece on Stevie Wonder, it was controversial just because of that. No one had ever really made a joke in that way about Stevie Wonder, but it was funny, and I think some of us were upset with ourselves because it was in fact funny. But it did cause a lot of internal conversation, but it kind of helped open the door to a lot of stuff that, quite frankly, in my opinion, was very different in terms of the kind of stuff that African people in this country did culturally. So I just wanted to say that part of it.
Appreciate that. Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Thank you. Do you want, so is it specifically about the article, Erica? Because I did read it while we were going. And so I know, before we do anything else, is it Ajamu or Ajamu? Because this has been a fight in the chat for like probably 3 years going. And I forgot to ask you the last time.
You know, it's interesting because basically it's either one. Technically, Ajamu is the correct pronunciation, but Ajamu is also fine. So on the continent, people are going to say Ajamu with the emphasis on the first syllables.
There we go.
What
I
does
appreciate
ingenue
that.
mean?
He who fights for what he wants.
In what
What a
light?
perfect name, though.
Well, it's something that, in those days, the community did the renaming. So that was what they renamed me.
There goes Ricky. She froze. Okay. So hopefully she can. I know she's been having issues with her internet. So do you want me to pull up your latest on Black Agenda Report? Do you want to talk a little bit about it first? Tell me how we should manage this.
Well, I'm not sure what the format was going to be, but I can lay out the main ideals reflected in that piece.
Sure.
And the ideas are quite simple. That as we're trying to grapple with, people are trying to grapple with what's happening, what's unfolding in Venezuela, and indeed what's happening across the globe. We see that with this kidnapping that took place in Venezuela, that it sparked a lot of consternation among various forces, but in particular within the so-called left, or what I would call the liberal left. And what we saw emerge once again, when we find a country that's in the crosshairs of U.S. destabilization or destruction, that instead of the so-called radicals and even progressives focusing in on the illegality, the immorality of U.S. policy, projecting white power and destroying another people or another nation, they engage instead in this torturous analysis of the internal so-called contradictions within the country. They make a determination whether or not they're going to be outraged by U.S. imperialist aggression based on their assessment of the internal structures and behaviors of the authorities in that state. So in the case of Venezuela, for example, people who have no understanding, no knowledge of Venezuela at all, they begin the conversation and they frame it as a progressive position. Well, Maduro was a thug, and there's authoritarianism in Venezuela, but the U.S. shouldn't have gone in there and kidnapped him, and that is supposed to be a progressive position. But I make the argument in this piece that what you are in fact doing two things. You are giving credence to an analysis coming from our enemy regarding the character of that government, their political process. And secondly, in doing that, you are in fact providing a kind of left cover, a left rationalization for the intervention. And that to me is objectively a position that makes you a collaborator with U.S. imperialism. Our responsibility is not to engage in some kind of assessment about the internal dynamics, because the objective fact is, if these nations find themselves in the crosshairs of U.S. imperialism, it is because there must be something progressive. There must be some value to these nations. We don't see that the U.S. is trying to bring democracy to Saudi Arabia or the UAE or to Egypt or any other place. What they do, they target these progressive attempts to transform their societies, to build new societies, societies that they would define as revolutionary societies. They are the ones that are, in fact, the enemies. And the very fact that these states are in their crosshairs should suggest to most people that basically you might want to be careful in taking positions that align yourself or have you ending up on the same side with U.S. imperialism. And so I make the argument that even a situation like Palestine, as horrible as it is, that is understandable that you have a cross sector of people who would be outraged by the genocide in Palestine and who would take moral and political positions against that. But I make the argument that the real determination of authentic anti-imperialist radical where you have the structural analysis, where you have the U.S. state undermining this country, where you have all of the mythology related to what is happening in that country, that if you take a stand with the people and the government of that country, you can pay some serious consequences, including, being accused of being an authoritarian, being excluded from left legitimacy, if you will. But I make the argument that we've got to grow up politically, because the situation with Venezuela is going to continue, not only in Venezuela, but we can see that basically with the commitment to militarism on the part of this backward colonial capitalist state, that it intends to use the military weapon in their desperate attempt to maintain and to expand their hegemony. And every time that happens, instead of us standing with the people and opposing this criminal government, we instead get diverted by these internal conversations. It's going to mean basically two things: that we will be of no value at all to the peoples and nations of the global South that are struggling. But secondly, we're setting ourselves up because the fascistic targeting that's taking place externally and to a certain extent now internally is gradually coming to us. And we're going to be left there with no allies for our own struggles, our own attempts to try to survive this neo-fascist phase. So those are some of the arguments that I raised in this piece that came out this morning in the Black Agenda Report.
And
Ajambu-
Kim, sorry,
Oh.
just real quick, because you did ask the question, Kim. I pulled up the article, and Mani has shared it in the chat. And this is from a Black Agenda Report, and the title is "Venezuela, Even More Than Palestine, is a Linchpin at a consistent radical left in the era of global neo-fascism led by the U.S." So, and this is Ajamu's article.
Ajama, there was a conversation here about the usage of we, as people that are in this country, living in this country, born in this country, but we are not responsible for the actions of this government, not directly, and we don't agree with it. We don't, consent to it. But I feel like when we're talking to regular Black people, right? People are working class folks. They use we a lot when talking about America. Well, we had to go over there because Maduro was a thug, or those people in Israel and Palestine, they've been fighting for thousands of years. And, the Somalis in Minneapolis, well, they, but I just trying to figure, like, how can we finally shake our people of this deeply misguided patriotism, or identifying ourselves like with the American institution. And when Black people talk about we and they, and we had to go, and because they got our oil, and it's like, wait we ain't they at the same time. But it's still very pervasive in the way that Black people speak about the way that we are, and how we identify with this country and the actions of this country.
And look, it's completely understandable. And again, I would argue it's a relatively recent phenomenon, and I say this as an older person in terms of the last couple of generations. But it's understandable, and we have to deal with that in our one-on-one attempts to do the kind of agitation and political education that we are required to do with our people. We have to do it in our families. We have to do it in our social settings. And that's something that needs to be necessarily, directly and viciously kind of criticized. We just point out And we all have the arguments to point out that basically, this ain't we, that's them. We don't have we don't have a military yet. You know, we don't have a police force. This isn't the foreign policy of our people. This is the foreign policy of the U.S. government that we have been in opposition to for most of our existence here in this country. And of course, you get a little pushback, and that's all right. Pushback and struggle is part of what we have to do, but we do it. So yeah, we're not going to reverse this, especially not after Barack Obama, because see, Barack Obama was the culmination of what I refer to as the 50-year counter-revolutionary process. The main objective of that counter-revolutionary process that really kicked into high gear in the 1970s was to do one critical thing, to ensure that another revolutionary generation that emerged in the 1950s and 60s would not emerge again. I am part of, and how do you do that? You basically create conditions in which you are able to transform consciousness. You want to break down that division between us and them. You want the them to embrace the notion of us, that we are part of one nation. You make the African an American, basically. You engage in massive busing. And who do you bus? Do you bus the big hard ankle kids? No, you start busing, a mandatory busing with who? The kids, the young folks. So you have a generation or two, now a couple of generations, where basically people had to get into on buses, drive by their local school that everybody had been going to for decades, and go to a white school where they were a minority and subjected to the mass educational process of the colonists. So after two generations of that, I mean, is it surprising that Generation X and the millennials would have some of the ideals and perspectives they have today? I don't think so. So this is just what has been handed to us and what we have to grapple with in order to try to reverse it, in order to try to rebuild our movement. Yeah, so we just struggle with it. Yeah.
Thank you. Erica, I don't know if you had a specific question you wanted to ask. I very quickly, John, if you don't mind. So could you talk a little bit about this differential between the moral and the political? Because that explanation of where we fight and why we fight with regard to Palestine and why we fight with regard to what is happening in Venezuela and what will indeed move on to somewhere else. I found that to be such a compelling, like within your article, that's something that you talk about, I think is really important. But Erica, go ahead.
No, that was going to really be my question, because I seen that when I was trying to log back on, that he went through a bit of some of the context, but you opened it with Palestine is the moral heart of the global anti-colonial politics. It exposes the brutality of settler colonialism in its most naked form: land theft, ethnic cleansing, military occupation, and white supremacist domination. For many on the left, solidarity with Palestine has become a defining ethical commitment. But while Palestine functions as a moral litmus test for individuals and organizations across the political terrain, from left to right, Venezuela is a structural and political one. So to Renee's point, if you wanted to flesh that out some.
Well, yeah, we are all morally, or most of us, or the ones who have some degree of humanity, morally outraged at the live stream genocide that we were exposed to. And so it was on one level quite easy to reject Israeli and U.S. policies in fascist Israel. And even though it was easy in that sense, but it still was dangerous, because some people ended up losing jobs, ended up being incarcerated because of the fascist domination we have here in the United States of America. But in terms of that being a sort of a generalized recognition that this is something that should be morally condemned, that was fairly easy, if you will. Okay, and these kinds of determinations based on a sense of morality, both national and international, meaning that internationally there was a clear condemnation of practices like torture, using starvation as a weapon of war, the targeting of civilians and collective punishment, the destruction of hospitals that had been up until this point seen as neutral zones that could not be violated. Um, these were things that people could be very easily outraged by because we saw these these things being violated every day. But when it comes to Venezuela, and Venezuela representing a more pronounced sort of structural reality of global white power, and we say global white power meaning a global colonial imperialist power, that we can get a little bit confused because we have a situation with a Venezuela that is going through a process that we would define as a revolutionary process in attempt to reorganize their societies, to redistribute the wealth of their society, to address the people-centered human rights needs of their people in terms of providing housing and education and child care and a clean environment, all the things that we need to live dignified lives as the consequence of those attempts to use the oil wealth of their country to do that. They became a target of the U.S. And that targeting comes along with the creation of a narrative. As the U.S. attempts to undermine a nation, a people, a political process, it has it has a playbook that they use. The first thing they do is to demonize that society, and the easiest way to do that is this simplistic focus on an individual, to identify an individual as being sort of the personification of that society, and then this whole notion of that individual not being the representative of a revolutionary process, but a dictator, if you will. And then you focus in on that. You bring in the social democratic left with their almost knee-jerk anti-social, anti-communist kind of inclinations, and the popularity of this notion of so-called authoritarianism. And then they will begin to do the other part of the business, which is basically to undermine the legitimacy of that process by focusing in on examples of so-called repression in the country. Repression that some of us might counter argue that what you are in fact seeing is the consequences of struggle, of class struggle, and so these things are combined to basically to demoralize people inside the country to the extent that they can, but more importantly, to cut off support for those projects. Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, this is what they do, and they've been quite successful. And so I take this on in that article that basically what we have to begin to develop in this country, especially in 2026 going forward, we have to have a clear, explicitly anti-imperialist politics, devoid of all of the mystifications that have helped to confuse us up until this point, because the terms now are too incredibly important, that we are dealing with a system and with an enemy that's playing to win. And we continue to embrace these kinds of illusions that allow us to not be effective in opposing imperialism abroad, and also domestic repression, that basically we are setting ourselves up because, the target for all of this is the people in general, but specifically people like us who are attempting to resist. And so we have to have a more sophisticated understanding of what it is we're up against, and what we in fact need to do. So we have to explode all of these analysis that help to confuse the people, and keep us objectively propping up and legitimizing the perspectives of the enemy.
Thank you. And just real quick, thank you, Alex, for the super chat. Alex says, with all the craziness happening, let's also remember that Ukraine tried to assassinate Vladimir Putin just a week ago. And by Ukraine, I mean the CIA. So just... Oh, you're
muted.
Your mic, Erica.
Sorry. I guess for my final question, even as we talk about Venezuela being a political litmus test, I want to kind of span out a bit and think about what's happening across the region with the right-wing leadership that is propping up. In terms of how do we see this having any implications as it relates to this political litmus test, and then also the role of the North-South People-Centered Human Rights Project in advancing a pushback against this.
Yeah. You see, when we said we need to have a much more nuanced and sophisticated understanding of what is unfolding, part of that means that, for example, to move away from this notion of the crazy Trump, there is an objective logic to the policies emanating from the Trump administration. There's not just about Trump, but it's about the most aggressive wing of the capitalist elite. They have concluded that basically for them to be able to maintain their hegemony, that they are going to continue to embrace a military-first strategy. They've also concluded, that's reflected in Trump's national security strategy paper, that the way that they are going to have to compete globally is to do this from a consolidated base. And what's their consolidated base? They consider the Western Hemisphere to be their consolidated base, with the Americas playing a very important role. But also that's why they are making the argument why they need to acquire Greenland. They want to control the hemisphere from the Arctic down to the tip of South America. Okay, that's their strategy. And we have to understand that. Now, to be able to operationalize this strategy of military first, you also have to have a situation where you have either domestic support or domestic intimidation. You can't have domestic opposition. And that's where the repressive apparatus comes in for us. That's why you have their attempts to divide the progressive forces, and specifically the working class, that have us fighting against migrants who have come to the U.S. as the consequence of the U.S. economy destroying their economies, and then they find themselves in the U.S. trying to find a way to survive. And we are now at each other's throats because these pigs have tried to tell us, and it's been something that people have embraced, that basically the hell that you are catching is not because of how the economy is organized. It's not because that they have basically extracted a super value from your labor, but it's because of the migrants. And so now we are playing the game of divide and conquer with other poor people, other working class people. And so it's difficult for us to then organize a more effective anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist movement, because we have to fight among ourselves around this kind of crap. And then you have other people who in our communities who then top it off with this notion that not only do we have to deal with the migrants, we got to deal with even other Black folks who happen to not be from the United States. So it is complete and utter confusion. that we have to deal with. But all of it is part of the grand strategy. And all of it represents the kind of challenges we have in having to try to rebuild our movement and rebuild a radical movement. And that's where the work that we are attempting to do with this new project that the Black Alliance of Peace has developed, the North-South Project for People-Centered Human Rights. We say North-South because we understand that our orientation is with the colonized and oppressed people of the global South. But we also understand that oppressed and colonized people exist in what we refer to as the northern countries in the United States of America, in Canada, in Europe. And so we want to link up all of our people, of African people, but all of the people who find themselves colonized by this and exploited by this system. And we center a new conception of human rights, one that's based on the principles of collective human rights as opposed to individual rights. That's based on the notion that the human rights come out of the concrete struggles of the people, as opposed to just these UN documents and UN instruments, as important as they are. That we embrace the principle of self-determination and the right to resist and the right to collective resistance, and that the fight for human rights is not a fight for demanding from the state. That they recognize our fundamental human rights. You know, we say that we fight for human rights, and the only way we're going to be able to realize human rights is when we defeat the oppressive structures, when we defeat the enemy, when we are able to build new societies. So it becomes a revolutionary call. So the Northside Project for People-Centered Human Rights is a revolutionary project that we're developing, centering a decolonized understanding of what human rights should be. Because if we don't decolonize human rights, then basically it will have no relevance to us at all. We see what's happening with the Palestinians. Where are their fundamental human rights? Who's going in to rescue the Palestinians? Where's the humanitarian intervention to save the Palestinians? While Trump talks about he's going to attack Iran if the Iranians fire on people in Iran, like he really cares about human life. So these are all part of what we call the war of position, the ideological war of position that we have to fight in order to win our people back to struggle and to build more effective organization. If we're not organized, folks, we're not going to survive. We are in a fully blown neo-fascist phase. We're in it. We can't avoid it. It's going to get worse. Get ready for it. They have declared war on us and the masses of the people globally. And if you don't understand that, that's all right. But please step to the side and let us organize. Okay?
I mean, listen. Step aside. Do we have you until 10 o'clock, Aljamain, or do you have somewhere to go?
I serve Comrade Erica and the people, so whatever y'all want me to do.
If you don't mind, since this report is now just coming out that the U.S. has now seized a ship leaving Venezuela with Russian flags, and of course the stories are conflicting, and as I said this morning, like, we should never, ever just take at face value when the headline is Trump says, because he says a lot of stuff that don't have nothing to do with what's actually happening. But the story started that they were chasing the ship. Then they claimed they seized the ship. Russia says they've sent their naval submarines to support the ship. So I'm not 100% clear on like what's actually
who's reporting
happening.
that, Renee?
Multiple Political, New York Times, it's all the mainstream people. But
is this a steamship? I know there was Is this the same ship? I know they had a ship
Same
leave
ship.
out. Okay.
It's
Oh,
the
so this
same
is
ship that was approaching Venezuela when they saw that the U.S. was going to attempt to try to board it. It turned around and headed for the high seas. They've been chasing it for the last few days. And right before I came on, I saw that there were some images that indicated that the U.S. is going to attempt to try to board it. So it's not surprising. We know it's going to happen. I don't expect to see any kind of engagement between the U.S. And Russia on this militarily. But again, it's another escalation that we have to deal with because the consequences of escalation between the U.S. And Russia has a potential negative impact for all of us globally. But this is again the kind of rogue state behavior coming from a government that's completely out of control. And so this is what we have to deal with. Beyond that, I think people may have heard that the Trump administration has now demanded that not only did they say they wanted to have 30 to 50 million barrels of oil taken from Venezuela, they then came back and said, hey, you know what? Beyond the oil, we telling you all, you have to break all ties with Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba. And if you don't, we still got our armada off the coast, and we prepared to do what needs to be done. Folks,
They was mad at him.
I was gonna say, was that the warning shot? Was that the warning shot? Said, all right now.
this is straight up gangsterism that shows the consolidation of U.S.-led what I refer to as global fascism. And look, that consolidation, I argue, was really symbolically took place on November 17th at the United Nations Security Council. What happened that day? The Security Council basically voted for this bogus bullshit peace plan for Gaza. What do I mean by that? Well, in that so-called peace plan, basically it undermined all of the principles of the United Nations Charter, the right of people to resist colonization, the right of people to self-determination. It basically turned over the notion of self-determination to that of the Israeli fascists, colonizers, and now a co-belligerent, the United States of America. It went back to the sort of the mandate system that was in place during the League of Nations when they said that certain people were unable to govern themselves, therefore they were given as trustees to the superior European nations to run their affairs. This is straight up colonialism. But in doing that, in voting for that so-called peace plan that demands that the Palestinian resistance disarm, it undermined everything that supposedly the United Nations was standing for. And so this is where we are today. We had another meeting of the Security Council last week on the situation with Venezuela. There's a lot of highbrow discussion and condemnation of the U.S., but no resolution was floated, which means basically there's no accountability. So we are entering, folks, a period of what I refer to as people might remember Thomas Hobbes, one of the European philosophers who talked about and who justified, the existence of a bourgeois state, that it was there to protect rights, to bring order, to help people, the human beings, move from a so-called state of nature to order. Well, what we have now is an international state of nature, but basically it's might makes right. And all of the structures and institutions that were created after the Second Imperialist War, or in 1945, the current rulers in the U.S. have said basically those structures and institutions are irrelevant In fact, they are a yoke on our ability to project power. And so this whole liberal international order and this thing called human rights and all of that, later for that. It's like what Stephen Miller said yesterday, the other day, is about who has the power, who has the ability to project force. And so these criminals, that's exactly what they're doing. So people need to understand that we are at war, Africans and others. We're at war. We don't want this. We want peace. We want to live in prosperity. We want our kids to grow up. You know, we want to be able to enjoy life. But we can't do that until we defeat these criminals because they don't understand life. They are, in fact, opposed to life and collective humanity. And so either we put ourselves on a war footing, or you might as well just go ahead and pack your bag. So when you hear the trucks come down the street with the bullhorn telling you to come out your house, you got 5 minutes to climb, to get into the truck, to be taken to the FEMA camps. Just have your stuff ready.
Every day, John will tell me, pack my bags. They coming for me.
Sort of left me stuck there for a second. Jamu, I mean, all points considered, I'm thinking future economic challenges that we're about to experience here on the home front, because it's obvious that whatever state the economy is in, it's about to get way worse. And I'm thinking about how our folks survived during the Depression, during the Dust Bowl, and a lot of folks didn't survive. And the amount of mutual aid that was required, you know, people live in multifamily houses, you know, providing and growing their own food and make sure that, you know, things get distributed. But poverty at a mass scale totally is a big battle that I think that everybody, even people, you know, people here in this region, in the DC area, who had relied on so-called good government jobs, when Trump came in and took away their livelihoods, like it became a different reality for folks. But I think more of us are going to experience that more widespread in the very near future. What do we do to try to survive that Depression era circumstances in 2026?
We are experimenting with different kinds of structures. There is we've been talking about the absolute necessity to begin to develop what some of us refer to as community self-defense coalitions, where we in fact organize ourselves on a community basis and galvanize our resources in order to be able to survive, to provide our food, health care to the extent that we can, elder care, and to be able to protect ourselves from the occupation forces, the occupational army that we refer to as the police. So we have to build different kinds of local organizational formations to survive. We also have to connect up with our people in the southern part of the United States of America and find and get more effective ways to have more direct access to the sources of food production. Because if we rely just on these supermarkets or lack of supermarkets or whatever for our survival, we will in fact be in trouble. So there's a lot that we have to talk about. We can't do it in the last minute or two. But again, not to make this a cliche, but through organization and through a vision of what it is we're up against, and to imagine what we can do or need to do in order to meet the challenges of survival and the objective of liberation. And we only can do that within the context of organization. We got to figure this stuff out. Nobody has all the answers. But we do know we've got to be organized and clear on identifying who the enemy is and what we need to do. And what we need to do is to do what? Defeat this colonial capitalist system. We're at war. Let's make it a two-sided war, Africans.
There we go. And you're about to get an email from me, Ajamu, because we got some rescheduling to do. So,
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Get you back on so we can have. There's so much more now to talk about, as I suspected. So nothing is surprising. But thank you, Erica. Thank you. I try to always look at BAR like at least every other day, so I don't lose track of what's
every Wednesday.
Thank you for pointing it out so I could read. Ajamu, as always, thank you for your guidance and your knowledge and for your willingness to share with the people.
And thank you all. Thank you all for all the great work you do. This is a very, very important platform, very important work that all of you all do. So thank you. I'm honored to be a part of this.
Yes, thank you, African.
All right.
No compromise, no retreat.
Big up to my doppelganger. You know what I'm saying? When
you doing that?
Ricky's face just now said
just that's that Morris Brown connection.
Y'all can't tell we ain't got a little resemblance. We even got a little mole right here and everything. Stop.
All right.
I mean, our intellect are on the same, but you know. Anyway, we got a great show today, ladies. Great show today. I've learned so much, and big up to RTYR Warriors sending $5 in revolutionary greetings. Ma'at Hotep Uhuru. I don't know that other word. Join BAP. Support the Black Alliance for Peace if you believe in Uhuru and peace. All right, big up, big up. And I think we got another. I think we got some more love right here. Big up. I don't know if y'all called this out.
We did. We read it already.
All right, cool.
I was on it. I was on it.
Okay, I love it. I love it. I must have stepped away and got some coffee. All right, so boom, we will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Thank you all for tuning in. Let us know what you got coming up. Kim Brown.
Classical Breakdown with the Ear Doctor tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. Ear Doctor and I, we was debating. Mm-hmm. we had some debates. And we want to talk about, like, when did the neo-soul era begin? Ear Doctor points to 1989, 1990 with Loose Ends and Soul to Soul. I said, I see what you did there. Not sure I agree, but we're going to discuss. So join us tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Neo-Soul Part 1, Classical Breakdown.
I love it. I love it. Erica Kane, so we got coming up?
There's some more mobilizations outside of where they're holding Maduro, so folks can please go out, advocate. I know we have our thoughts and opinions about mobilizations, but I think if we are in the work of counter propaganda, they are important. I think it's important that Venezuelans see that we're in opposition, that there is no we. And then I also wanted to plug this sanctions. This was 2023, I believe. Sanctions, a wrecking ball in the global economy. It's an anthology, but myself, Onye Sanwu, Margaret Kimberly, and Ajamu all have pieces in here. And I write about the sanctions in Venezuela and in Haiti and how that has affected both nations and caused a civilization so that the U.S. can occupy and colonize. So please read that if you can. It is a lot of numerous great pieces. And that's it.
All right. Sabado Conrani.
What?
Y'all ain't know I was bilingual. Come on, I have Puerto Rican neighbors. Go ahead.
Lord. First, I want to co-sign on the sanctions book because it is chock full of information, and I actually got a copy a while back and read it, and it's probably a good thing to revisit as we maneuver this system. We are confirmed with Andre Easton, so that is who we'll be talking to on Saturday. I'm very much looking forward to it. And quickly, I want to plug my girl Lara, who is a very good friend of my show, at least. And she has started her new channel, Psychic Militancy, and she's going to be live today at 11 talking about Venezuela. So if folks are not checking her out, please do that. That's Laura Shihai for folks who are unfamiliar. But
all right. Big up to all my Venezuelans. Hasta mañana. And let's get up out of here and we see y'all. That's tomorrow. That means I'll see you tomorrow.
I know, nigga. I know what it means.
I'm just showing, I'm mixing up sometimes.
Salinas.
Yo,
I was drinking coquito over the holidays, thinking I was Puerto Rican. I said, "Yup, Puerto Rican now, drinking coquito."
Ooh, coquito, money now. You owe me some coquito.
Uh-oh.
I just
Coquito.
I do puncher creamer. Thank you.
Coquito, your people ain't tell you about coquito, ear doctor. The rest of the Puerto Ricans, y'all didn't drink that at the holidays.
Nah.
Oh, you Puerto Rican now?
I just had neighbors, you know. That's all.
Who's your neighbor? Fred Sanford. What was Fred's Puerto Rican neighbor name?
I told you, it was Jose.
Okay, true.
Gladys, and
Gladys.
And Priscilla. Big up to my whole the Rivera's. Is that their last name?
Jose and Gladys. Rodriguez.
That was their last name. Thank you. I was like, Rivera's. That don't even sound right. Rodriguez. Big up to the Rodriguezes. All right, we out of here, y'all. Remix Morning Show. We'll be back tomorrow, so make sure y'all tune in. That is no other than Kim Brown, Erica Keynes, and Renee Johnston. I'm the Ear Doctor. We out. Peace out. Yeah.
Peace.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.